Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. How are you, everybody? Fine, hopefully fine. So let's start today. I have with my new lecture on introduction to the basic language, especially for the grade 8. But the students who want to learn the basics of any language, especially in the basic, for the basic language, they can uh, have this lecture, and then they will be able after this lecture that they have know-how about the basic language. So let's start our first screen. In this topic, boys, we will discuss about the basic of the programming with basic language. The topics which we have discussed today in this lecture are introduction. I will give you the introduction of the basic language, the structure, the character set, what are the constants, what are the variables, GW basic, words, what are these in these kinds of terms using in the language, what are expressions, and what kind of operators we will use in this one, how many kinds of operators these are, and especially what are the reserved words we are using in this language. So let's start our first topic is introduction. So basically, basic stands for the beginners all purpose symbolic instruction codes, and this is basically a computer language. As you know, the name indicates, basic language is relatively easier than the other language. It is basically for any programmer who is interested to write the program or interested in programming. So he must first of all take this beginners all purpose instruction code, yani basic language, to it will give you a very basic concept of the language in this era. So basic language is relatively easier than the other language for the beginners of the computers. It is easier than other language. Its structure is very easy. The structure means its syntax, how to write the program. It's very very close to the human language like English language. So you can learn very easily about that. So it's very easy to learn any kind of, the syntax given in this language is so easy. So it's very understandable. Any common man who has some know-how of the computer or the programming language, so he can easily understand the syntax of that language. So it is well suited for the beginners. Also it's useful for other sciences like engineering, commerce and industry. Basic is easy to learn and does not require extensive background in mathematics. So it is first developed in 1964 at Dartmouth College, USA. So Dartmouth College, USA, in New Hampshire, USA, by John Camney and Thomas Kurtz. So at that time, the Fortran and the COBOL were the standard programming language, but the basic was much easier to use than any of these kinds of languages. So however, it could be run interactively in the time sharing environment. So as a result, basic became very popular and thousands of computer users became proficient basic programmers. So the advent of the personal computer in the late 1970s caused an explosive growth in the use of the basic. In 1987, the American National Standards of Institute, ANSI, issued a comprehensive standard for the basic language. So we will have before we will start this one, I must tell you about the what is programming. It's a complete process to create a program. It has a simple programming two types of programming, simple programming or professional programming. So it's a complete process. It has the 5 steps before we have discussed in the earlier lectures. So I will not go to the in detail. We already have discussed about it. So first of all, I will discuss in the structure of the basic language. So what is the structure basically? You know, in each instruction in the basic program is written in a separate statement. I will show you later what is the editor for that, how to write the statements, but I will tell you about that. The separate statements we will write, and every statement must begin on a separate line, and each statement must have the line number. So no two lines have the same line number, so there will not be a duplicate value for the line number will be accepted by the editor. So blank spaces may be inserted freely in order to improve the readability of the statements. So we can say that this the structure is so simple, so easy. When you go inside the editor, then you can see it will be very easy. So now come to the next of what is the character stats. It is very important to discuss about what is the character stack. The building blocks of the language are its characters. So any kind of language which you are learning as an ordinary language, for example, having their particular characters, such as English has 26 alphabet characters and some other special character like full stop, commas, semicolons, colons, etc. So basic language also had its character sets, which we can differentiate in 3 categories. So there are 3 categories for that: alphabetic characters, numeric characters, special characters. Alphabetic characters, you know that A to Z there are 26 characters, and 0 to 9 numeric characters, they have 10 characters numbers. Special characters, they are having the 21 special characters like plus, minus, multiplication sign, and there are different special characters, are there 21 special characters. So there are total 58 characters including blank spaces. So if we can see, before starting that, this slide is very important to learn any kind of language, where we will discuss about what is constant and what is the variable. The constant is a value that can be altered by the program during normal execution of the program. When you write any program and you assign the value, the constant value, it never changes during the execution of the program. Whenever you run the program, execute the program, the answer will be the same. The execution, the output will be the same, because it's never changed during the execution of the program. So there are 2 types of constant: numeric constants. These are the simple fixed numbers, like I have given the example 29. Here you can see 29, 563, 36.08. So these kinds of values we can fix in the numeric constants. Then we are having the string constant. These are the non-numeric values. You can give the non-numeric values like Hassan, Jadda, F16, but you must have to be written in the quotation marks. So this will be compulsory for that. And to store the constant variable, always with the variable, constant variable, you can write the $, then it will be considered the string variable, string constant. Now the variable, this is defined as a variable is a container, like container that holds information that you can access. You can think of the variable as a box that contains something. You can open the box to find out what is inside, and whenever you want to be execute that value, you can call the variable with its name, or even put something else into the box. You can we will simply define the variable. Variable are those kinds of the memory locations where during the execution of the value program, the value can be changed. So there are 2 types of variables: numeric variables, it will store the numeric value, and the string variable, it will use to the non-numeric data or the string constants. So how to define the variables? We can use any single alphabetic character as the name of the variables. We can also use the combination of different alphabetic characters as a name of variables, like in the first line single character, yani if I want to assign the value to the a is equal to 5. So this is simple. So if I will write sum is equal to a plus b, the second line which statement we have written, we can also use combination. There is a combination of three characters, sum, sum, but in the first variable a is equal to 5, a is a simple one single character, so we can define like this the variable. The third one is also can use alphanumeric character as a variables. For example, if I want to explain h32 is equal to 5, so we can define that variable using the alphanumeric value. So we cannot use spaces in the name of the variable. For example, sum, if I write sum is equal to 2, a plus b, so sum, if I write the sum su space m, so it will not consider as a variable, so the error will be generated on that. It will not store any kind of value. To define the string variable, we will use $sign at the end of the string variable name, as examples are given here: abc, $sign, pk, 176, $sign, etc, etc. GW Basic does not support more than 40 characters as a variable name, so keep remember. So we cannot use reserve word. This is another thing, we cannot use reserve word as a variable name. Reserve word, what are the reserve words? I will discuss in the last slide, but I will give you some over. Reserve words are the words which are already been defined by the language creators or the language production department. They will produce these reserve words, and we can call with their function names, and then it will be executed. So it cannot be used by the programmer in the program. So there are two types of words in this language: reserve words and user defined. What are the reserve words? I told you about reserve words. Reserves are the predefined statements, predefined functions into the language, which we can only use to perform specific functions. But user defined words, these are the kinds of variables or kinds of function which the user, yani the programmer, can define it, and they will call it anywhere in any time, and it will be executed. So the next thing is, what are the statements and what are the expressions? Statement is a complete line of code that performs some action. Complete line of code that perform the action. And expression is basically any section of the code that evaluate the value. It's very simple. Any line number which you are writing with the you are writing coding in the program, so it's a complete statement. Expression is any section of the code that evaluates any kind of the value. So so there are two types of expressions. Number one, numeric expression and the string expressions. But we will discuss about here the numeric expression first. There are three types. Further, arithmetic expression. In arithmetic expression, we can perform the calculations using the different kind of plus, minus, multiplication, division operators, and we will use these operators to make arithmetic expression. For the relational expression, these expressions are used to make the comparison of different statements. And the logical expression, there are three kinds of logical operator we are using here, and or not operator. Further, we will in the next slide we will discuss it. String expressions. String expressions are used to store the string variable, string values. Like I have given example here, $sign is equal to jump. So we will put this characters into the quotation signs so that it becomes the string variable. So then we can write the string expression $sign, $b sign, and $c sign. Then it will be executed when you use the quotes using the basic language editor. Now further we will move how many kinds of operator we are having. We are having three kinds of operators. Arithmetic operators, I told you it will be used for the mathematical calculations. Relational operators are used to make the comparison, and the logical operators are for the three types: and, or, not operator. And operators, or not operator, these are those kinds of operators which are basically used to calculate the to make the comparison of the statements, or to create the logical. I will explain this by this logical operator with the truth table, that you will understand it easily. Look here, three kinds of operator. First of all, we will discuss about there are two inputs, x and y. X 0 0 1 1, y is equal to second input 0 1 0 1. So the first input which you are taking here 0 0 1 1. So this 0 0 1 1, if you keep the half of this one, the second input, you can take it. If there are four inputs over here, so then we will write it here 4 0 4 1s, and take the half of this one, the y, and the take of half of this one, the z, is come over here. But I am taking over here the x and y, two inputs. So over here I will make the calculation of the x and x plus y, or x or y. Or operator is denoted by plus sign here, and the and operator is denoted by the dot sign, and x naught and y naughts are denoted by the negation sign here. So and operator, I will tell you, when both the inputs true. True means if there are the two values have the true. True means the 1. If x has the 1 and 1 value for the y here, then the output will be 1. But here is in the or operator, x or y is having the any value will be true in x and y, the output will be also true. But x plus y means x or y, yani x 0 here and 0 0 0 0 0 1, here is 1 value is true, so that's why the output will be true. Here 1 0, output will be true because there is a 1 true values here. So if both the values are true here, the answer will be also true. But in the and negation, and sign, x dot y, x and y, any must, both input must have the true value. So where these two has the true value, only one section has the true value here, 1 1. So value, the output will be 1 here. The remaining all had the 0 values in 0 0 0 0 1 0 1 0 0 and 1 1 1, because when both the input true, then the output will be true, and it will be denoted by the dot sign operator. In the last, we can see here x negation, y negation. It will give you the reverse value. If there is a 0, the answer will be 1. If there is a 1, the output will be 0. So this is the these are the logical operators. I have explained with you. We will use in the different programs this one. So the last is the reserve words. The reserve words, I already told you. Reserve words are the words which are already been defined, the function which are already been defined by the company, by the manufacturer of the language. So we will call them, and then we will execute them. So one more thing I want to be explained to you here. This one is errors. What are the errors? When you're writing any kind of program, then if there are some mistakes in the program, so there are some errors generated by the language editor. So basically we are having two types of errors: syntax errors and logical errors. Syntax errors will return you the errors on the screen like this, which I have given to you over here in the screen here. If you missed colon, semicolon, or rules and regulations of the language you have missed there, it will, when you run the program, it will generate the errors in the line given with the line number. But in the logical error, it will execute the program, no error will be generated, but logically you have put the wrong formulas or wrong kinds of logics there. So then these kinds of error you have to find yourself. So if I conclude this lesson, so I will conclude this lesson. The basic is a language for the beginners who will want to learn the simple kind of language. It has easy structures, so variable are the kind of memories where the values can be stored, and it will be changeable during the execution of the program, while in the constants their value never change during the execution of the statement. So there are different kind of expressions and the statements we are writing on the programs, and operators I have discussed up there. So it's a very simple language for the basic learners. Hopefully you have the concept of the different kinds of things which I have discussed here. So close your screen, subscribe and like the channel, that you will get more videos from this channel. For the next part, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.